tech companies generally will tell us, the general public, that they are not shaping anything.
Right.
They will say, we're a platform. We're a message board. It's part of the reason they don't have the same obligations that a TV station does.
Mm-hmm.
So, if somebody tells a lie or an egregious lie on CBS or NBC or one of those,
mm-hmm.
they get held accountable.
Right.
Facebook, Twitter, all of them go like, no. We say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All we do is provide a message board and the people say things, but we do not participate in what is being said or not being said.
Mm-hmm.
All right? When you read accounts from people who've worked in these organizations, it seems like that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, that's absurd. Like, look at how much the algorithm on X shifted once Twitter became X under Elon, right? You'd spend 5 seconds in there. It's just a complete cesspool of the absolute worst people who've been algorithmically boosted now to dominate your feeds. So absolutely, there are choices made every day in the architecture of these platforms and the content they're surfacing. One of the things that, occurred, during the first Trump administration onwards was, Facebook started experimenting with reducing the volume of news and political content in some feeds because they discovered that people were getting to the point where they were so exhausted from the amount of political content that they said, oh, you know what, this is bad for engagement. Let's just get rid of the news. And that's the thing where, hey, maybe that actually gave people some better, experience in their app. Maybe they spent more time. That would be how Facebook would define a better experience. Mm-hmm. But in fact, if your society's in flames, wouldn't it be more responsible to actually share these things? If you had a thesis that this is the, global town square, that was literally how, Jack Dorsey used to describe Twitter.
Yes, that's how they sold it, yes.
And the global town square has to have all the conversations that matter in it, right? Not just the ones that, give you the easier life when you're living, in Palo Alto or San Francisco.
Yeah, it's fascinating because you realize that these guys have built a world where it would be so much easier if they were just trying to be evil.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like their evil is a byproduct of the apathy, or rather the appetite that they have for just getting their thing to grow as much as possible.
That's right. I think that's spot on. And that is the complexity of this entire situation, right? If they were just cartoonishly villainous,
yes.
Zuckerberg was right, I'm going to get these people's data. And it's it was never like that. In a way, it's the data's, to fuel what Facebook really is, which is a big ad machine. His ultimate evil is to give you some crappy clickbaity ads in your feed. I mean, it's not the most, wild scheme ever invented. But the failure to engage with a whole bunch of other things which are within his power and which are playing out on the platforms, that can end up exerting tremendous evil in the world. So it's something where there's again, this great duality about these things, right? And you can be an engineer working at Facebook, and every day you go in there and you work on things that are really, really boring, designed to sort of incrementally improve user experience, and they do improve user experience. And yet you are also part of an institution that might also be doing things which in some other part of this vast global machine actually aren't effects you like at all. And you still need people to go and do the good things as well, right? All institutions are imperfect, and there's lots of good people, I think, who work within tech companies because they are driven by nothing more than they want to build systems that really do solve problems for people.
Do you think we got it all wrong in terms of assigning a political point of view to tech leaders? I think of all of them. Jeff Bezos, when he bought the Washington Post, people were like, oh man, democracy has been saved. And they came up with that slogan, democracy dies in darkness. And it was this whole thing. And it's oh, this is what we need mega titans to do, is save the journalistic world that we... Mark Zuckerberg, people are like, oh yes, he is a titan of free speech. And because of him, we will move this thing. You look at all of these figures, even Elon Musk, they're like, electric cars, and here he is pioneering a world that gets us away from fossil fuels. And it seemed like they were liberal bastions. It seemed like they were progressive icons that were trying to move society to a place that was better for everyone. And then almost overnight, it was Jeff Bezos is like, nope, shut that down, move that thing. pay the people less, get this go. I'm doing my own thing. Zuckerberg was like, actually, screw the news, and we're not fact checking anything, and we're not doing that. And you know what? I'm actually pro this. I actually think Trump's a cool guy, and I'm at the inauguration, and you see this happening. And Elon Musk is like, you're like, oh, so he likes electric cars, but not necessarily. He doesn't care about the whole thing. It's this weird it's this weird gray that I think people struggle with.
Yes.
From the inside, did you see a shift, or do you think that there was just a big misunderstanding of who these people were from the very beginning?
I think it was both. People are desperate for heroes. And, I moved to New York in 2008, right on the eve of, the economic crisis unfolding. And how many more crises have we been through since then? It's like the 21st century has been a never-ending series of disasters befalling most of the world. And in that context, people will always look for heroes. We're looking for good guys and bad guys. We're looking for a simplistic narrative to make sense of deeply complex events. Who were the good guys in the economic crisis?
Yeah.
There were lots of different bad guys. There were lots of different shades of gray every single day. But the real villains weren't even just these individuals. We would sort of say, that person's going to prison, right? Screw that person. There's entire systems that are rotten. And of course, this is the nature of many of the problems that are playing out now. We have deeply rotten, systems that, are behind many of the problems that are, unfolding in many, many different domains. So I think that was part of it. But also it was genuinely, it was a whole bunch of very new challenges emerging in the world, which in ways, these were leaders who simply weren't engaged at all. There were things where they might have had more constructive roles. They almost certainly would have had more constructive roles if they took those seriously. But there's lots of other leaders who should share that blame too. The failure of technology in our societies is only part of a general failure of societies in the last couple of decades, which political leaders, a whole set of other, thinkers and actors, they absolutely should share in that blame too.